Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. And on our board here, we have our model from our last video. And it was amazing. Events come and go, and there is no gap or time. So that's what we talked about last time, and this is the model that we used. And in that video, recognizing that a point, event A here on this timeline, and this, I said, goes all the way back to the Big Bang. So we have a timeline that we can go back and come up with all the way back to the Big Bang. And these hash marks on here are just seconds and minutes, hours, days, years, segments of time between events. Okay? So when event A happens, there is a gap time between A and event B. And that gap, you take this one time from the Big Bang, and you take this one time from the Big Bang, and you come up with a gap, a time gap between these events. And that's how we got time. But not really. Because if we look at it, we recognize A happens in the present moment. And as I was thinking about this later, I should have maybe pointed this out. So I'll do it now, that there really isn't much of a gap between A and B, because there is another now moment, and another now moment, and another now moment, and another now moment, all the way over here to event B. And I want you to think about this, because I haven't talked about it before. All the energy there is in event A, in the present moment, because everything is in the present moment. And you can't make energy, and you can't destroy energy. All you can do is transform energy. So event A transforms into the next moment, which transforms into the next moment, which transforms into the next moment, and so forth down to B. Now B, when B happens, it happens in the present now moment. So A happened in the present now moment. And then B happens. That's why we got this gap up here on this top model of A to B. There's a time and a time gap. Maybe. But A happens in the present moment. And then the next moment, and the next moment, and the next, all the way down to B. So all of the energy is in the present moment. All of the energy is in the present moment. And then in the next moment, and then in the next, because it's transforming. The energy is transforming. We can't destroy it, and we can't make it. We just transform it. So it transforms into the next moment, into the next moment, into the next moment. So A happens. Now we go down to this model. A happens, and then there's another moment, and then B happens in the present moment. Now, here in the top model, we have a time gap between when A happens and when B happens. Now, B happens in the present moment, and what happens to A? Where's this gap? No gap. Why? A is gone. Where's it gone? Well, it transformed into the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. Can't find it. Can't find it. Well, what are we going to do? Because we need time in the egoic world so that we know where things are and how we can get together for lunch and pay our taxes. So we need time. And that's the point. Time is a construction for the observer, whoever that is. And so we need time to keep everything in order, because there's no past and there's no future. There's only now. And there's only now in the present moment, in the present moment, in the present moment. And so, now for the past. A lot of people say, oh no, the past is real. I think about the past and I know where it is and I know how it makes me feel and it's a real place. Why? Because I feel it in my body when I recall the memory. All right. Now you may not know this, but in my studio, which is the living room of my apartment, I have a recliner. And sometimes I take a little snooze in my recliner. And I look at my whiteboard, because my whiteboard is here, and I usually don't erase it so I can use it for the next video. So I'm thinking, and I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, there's no past and there's no future. Well, I know there's a past, and I know things are going to happen in the future, so there is. These are real places, the future. And, well, to be a real place, it needs energy. To be a real place, it needs energy. The past is infinite, back to the Big Bang and beyond that. And the future, infinite. If there was any energy in the past or the future, we'd have no energy in the present now. Even if it was a very small amount in the past, it's infinite. All the energy would be in the past. Or all the energy would be in the future. And so there'd be no energy here in the present moment for the next moment, for the next moment, for the next moment, for the next moment. Until B happens. B has all of the energy that was in A. But A is gone. A doesn't exist. Why? It's in the past. The past doesn't exist. So there is no gap between, time gap between A and B. Now, how do we resolve that problem? We make believe there's an A. Why? It's a memory. So we use the memory, which isn't real, to represent A on the timeline from B and come up with a gap, a time gap, that actually is make-believe. So time is a make-believe. And if you want to have a lot of fun, just start looking through YouTube and Google and online about time and the international dateline and Greenwich Mean Time, and you'll find out it's all an illusion. It's all make-believe to make other things happen in the present moment. So time, there is no time. There's only make-believe time, and it varies depending on how you are in the universe. So that was a long description about time, but the insight that I got from sitting in my recliner and looking at my whiteboard is there can't be any past. There's not enough energy to have anything in the past. There's not enough energy to have anything in the future, because everything, all the energy, must be here right now. So you might give that some thought as we move on to an entirely different subject now. And this is our subject for today. And I have a little stuff on the board, but let's go through it, and I'll have to explain it a little bit. So I'll read it off of here. It's a gift. It's a gift. The truth about placebos. Oh, this is going to be interesting, and this is going to be part 1 of 2. Because we're going to set the foundation, and we're going to move on and look at it a little bit different. So here's what we're going to find out about placebos. Now, placebo means I shall please. And actually it translated from Latin as part of the funeral mass, where it says, and I hope I can find it here, I will please the Lord in the land of the living. And out of that Latin translation comes the idea, I will please. So placebo is something that is going to give you a pleasant effect. You're going to feel good when you energize placebo. Now, in our modern day understanding, we use placebos mainly in medical testing. So that's what we're going to look at right now, placebos in medical testing. Now, why do we test certain new prescriptions, new procedures in health? Well, to find the best one and the best way to do it, and to make sure that it is going to be effective. So what we do is usually a double-blind study, and we have 2 groups in that study. One is a treatment group. Okay, this group here will get the new medication or procedure. And then we have the control group who will get a placebo or a fake treatment. That's how they do it. Now, how they select which goes into each group. Very controversial, but usually it's done by computer, so there's no interface with somebody manipulating the data. Now, they can manipulate it and not know it. It could be subconscious. It could be how they selected it. It could be based upon their own belief system and how they pick people. So they usually let the computer do that, and hopefully it will be programmed in a random way. So for my little model here, I'm looking at 200 people. And I got 100 in each group, randomly selected. Now, we're not going to go into any particular treatment, just to look at the process. And in the process, people go through, now the way the treatment is given is the same for everyone in each group. So the first of all, those giving the, oh, I better read it off of here. Placebo is medical treatment, but it could be, and the medical treatment could be a pill, a shot, or some other type of treatment, phony treatment. That's the placebo. All placebos have a common a theme running through them, a common thing. They do not contain anything related to affecting the physical health, any effect on health. So that's what they're getting. And this group over here is getting the real thing. The real thing. Okay. So a double-blind study is a type of study of a clinical trial. It's called a clinical trial in which neither the participants nor the researchers knows which is getting which. The researchers don't know who's getting the real thing, and the those involved are not, don't know what they're getting. So, and that's to make it fair and to make it so that we don't have any biases in the data or the information. And then we analyze the information after. And then after we say, oh, you got the real thing. Oh, no wonder you feel better. Oh, you got the placebo. No wonder you feel better. So it's all kinds of stuff like that. So they go through whatever the test is. 2 weeks, 6 months, a year. It can be quite long. And as they do, before they go into it, they take all of the physical stuff from mental and physical information, heart rate, all those kind of things before, and then they check them each time they go through the process of getting either the treatment or the placebo. And through the whole thing, and also they'll retest the blood or retest the heart rate or whatever it is to make sure that they're getting good information. And then, in the end, they look at the data and they make a decision. Now, it is not uncommon that these two groups will end up with the same effect, and in many cases, the control group will be ahead of the treatment group. So this is very dynamic, and a lot of money riding on it as to whether or not the medication will be approved for treatment. So this is very important. So placebo, now I better talk about the placebo effect. So I'll read it here off my little paper. The placebo effect is when a person physically or mentally appears to improve after taking a placebo or dummy treatment. That's the placebo effect. So in many trials, the placebo effect, I feel better when I take this unknown medication than those that take the treatment and say, I don't feel as good taking this medication. So it goes up and down. They try to make everything common between them. The color of the pill, the way it's given, the color of the rooms, the all kinds of stuff, same, so they don't influence the individuals. So, very important. Why? What is a placebo? A placebo is a belief. It's not medication. The placebo is a belief. And so, as I answer these questions that the investigator asks every time I take a pill, whatever it is, how do you feel? Also test the blood and everything. But the big thing, how do you feel? Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? And they ask very cunning questions to get to the real answer, which they can't, because it's inside the mind of the participant. Now, how it got there, that's what we're going to talk about next time. But the belief, if I believe I am, whether I am or not, if I believe I'm getting the treatment, the real thing, I'll have a more positive attitude to the questions. I'll feel better, I'll ask better, and I'll interpret whatever the investigator says in a more positive way. I'll feel better. If I believe, for whatever reason, I'm getting the placebo, I will have a different answer to the questions and how it makes me feel. Now keep in mind, it has nothing to do with what treatment. Has nothing to do with it. It has to do with what you believe is happening. That's why you try to keep everything calm and everything the same, so you don't influence the participants. That's why it's blind, or try to be blind. But the participant is open to believe anything they want. And how they believe is determined by their belief system. It could be, well, I'll go in a little bit, the time of the year, the weather, hot or cold, rainy, cold, warm, too warm, hot. All those kind of things go into how I am going to interpret my experience with the treatment and how I feel. So this is very important. Now, I said in the past and many times, and I'm going to say it again, the truth is not important. The truth, which one they're getting, is not important. What do they believe they're getting? How do they come to that conclusion? And even though they're getting the treatment, if they believe because of the weather, because of the person giving the treatment, because of something else, the person giving the treatment, they might have a bad day, so they feel bad and not too helpful for the participant. They might say, well, get over here and take this damn pill. I'm supposed to go today. Oh, and that energy is transmitted to the participant, and it affects them. So now, let us look at this little model. That's some of the things behind there. Now I'm saying it's a gift. Placebo is a gift. I shall please. It's a gift. Now if we look at this real close. Oh, and that's another thing. To get approval for your treatment, you have to be above, success rate has to be above placebo. And usually the break point is around 20%. So in this model, if the control group getting the placebo is at 40% of the 100, they feel better. And the treatment group is 60%. They say, wow, that's 20% more. These people are really benefiting from the placebo. I mean, from the treatment. And the placebo group, see, they're only 40%. I think we got 60. So these people are really gaining from the treatment. Now here's the thing. They're not. Why? These are random. These are random. Don't matter which group you're in. If this group getting the placebo improves 40%, of the 100, 40% of the 100, since it's random, this group improves 40%. Because of the placebo effect. They're not getting the placebo, but they are getting the effect. You see my point here? So now we have a, rather than 60% due to the medication, we only got 20%. It's only 20%. Because hidden within this is this. Hidden within this is this. So the medication, the treatment, is only giving, of the 100, 20. The placebo effect, not the placebo, but the effect, is 40% of this. Oh, we never look at it that way. So we get very expensive medications for treatments that only satisfy a very small amount of the people that have the condition that the medication is supposed to help. What's doing the help? Where is the gift? The placebo. It's a gift. If you know how to use this process of beliefs and shifting beliefs, you can change many things very quickly without medication. The problem, changing beliefs, nobody gets paid. Giving medication, pharmaceuticals get paid. So what's the benefit? Learn how to use the placebo effect to your advantage. And there are many ways of doing that. And so right now, this is where we're at. And so I'm going to leave you with that for right now, recognizing that the gift is really within the placebo. This costs a lot of money. You got side effects, all kinds of stuff. This, it might cost you money because you might have to go to therapy. But it doesn't have any side effects. This placebo I shall please. Tune in next time. Here in the illusion, when we talk about how to use placebos to support you. By the way, placebos used properly can go up to 100% cure or relief of the symptoms that you're having. This is an illusion, and you are looking through the egoic eyes, and it's time to change and begin to see things differently so that you can be in control of your world. Be good to yourself, and I'll see you next time, right